Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Small Business Show. I'm your host, Swire. I have a special guest today. Her name is Cathy Nesbitt. She's the founder of Crawly Composter. Cathy is a multiple award-winning environmental innovator who used workshops and inspirational speaking to motivate people to live a more sustainable life. Cathy is a certified laughter yoga teacher. I'm going to ask her more about that. A Point Laughter Ambassador in 2017. And Cathy is an avid cyclist and gardener. How you doing, Cathy?
I'm so excited to be here, Swire. Thank you for the opportunity.
There's so much I wanted to ask you and talk about, but before that, for people who are not yet be familiar with your work, what should they know about you and your businesses?
So it's the 20th anniversary selling worms by the pound. My working title is Cathy Crawly Laughing Bean Queen. So as you referenced in my bio, it's simple solutions for today's challenges. Worms for amending the soil, sprouts for eating, grow your own, and laughter for overall health and wellness.
Okay, thanks for putting that. And I have to ask, that's my first question. What is laughter yoga? And what do you do in laughter yogas?
Beautiful. Thank you. I love starting with laughter. So, and because it's needed more than ever today. Ever heard the expression that laughter is the best medicine?
Hmm.
Yes. So it is. It's a true statement. And I follow that with, have you had your daily dose? So dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Laughter yoga, it's the 27th anniversary, started in 1995 by a medical doctor in India, Dr. Madan Kataria. And his goal is world peace through laughter. It's now a global movement. It's not doing yoga and laughing. The yoga part is the deep diaphragmatic breathing and the practice of the laughter. It's a cardiovascular workout. You know, when we're laughing, our diaphragm is connected to all of our organs. So it's like internal jogging.
Okay. How did you discover that? And like, how do you practice for it? Because I know I practice yoga myself. And do you smile or do you think of happy? Do you have happy thoughts? While you're doing laughter yogas.
Well, happy thoughts when we're doing anything, hopefully. Yeah, so laughter yoga, it's not about jokes or comedy. And it's, again, not doing yoga, it's intentional laughter exercises.
Hmm.
So as the laughter leader, we lead the group through some gentle movement. So there is kind of gentle stretching and whatever. I guess that's also the yoga part. There's clapping and chanting. So the clapping, you clap palm to palm. So you're activating the meridians. And also and there's a rhythm in the chanting. So the rhythm is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or the words are ho, ho, ha, 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 right? Like your name. Hey, you should be a laughter teacher. That's perfect name for.
Also a Santa Claus.
You have so many options. I love
Yeah, yeah,
it.
versatile.
So it's really deciding to feel better. It's not laughing at a situation, it's laughing because of. When we're stressed, that's where we are. We're not in the moment. We're thinking about how do we get out of stress. So laughter kind of forces us to change our state. I think there's so many benefits. I mean, it's such a wonderful gift. And it helps us be more resilient. I would love to share an example. In Canada, one of our internet providers has been having challenges since Friday, like for 4 days now. Is that 4 days? 4 or 5 days.
Hmm.
I haven't had internet, no phone, no internet. And you need to be creative. We're so connected now with our technology. It's like, oh, what do I do? And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like a limb has been cut off. And I have a Tuesday laughter club. So I said, well, how am I going to have my laughter club? And luckily the local library had service. So I was able to, within 5 minutes, I realized, oh my gosh, I don't have internet at home. I do happen to have internet at the moment. If I disappear, it's that my internet is has disappeared again. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And I was standing outside the library. It wasn't open yet when my club was starting. So I had logged in on my laptop and everybody was zooming in. The Zoom room was filling up. And I was like, it was kind of like Blair Witch as I was running through the library to the room.
Uh-huh.
And laughing, because when we're laughing, at least we're secreting those love drugs versus cortisol. And people understood, like they came there to laugh. I did send a note on Facebook last night saying, my internet is unstable. If I don't have it at 9:30, I will be at the library. So I may be a couple of minutes late. It just helps us become more resilient.
Okay, I really love that. And let's talk about your other business. And to give you a big disclaimer, I love composting. I have 2 compost bin and I have backyard chicken, so I'm really into it. That's one of the reasons I really wanted you to be on my show. For those of us who are not yet be familiar with the concept, what is vermicomposting?
Thank you. I love that you have worms. Okay, he doesn't have internal worms. These are outside worms. So vermicomposting is it's simply composting with worms. So it's the same principle as doing outdoor composting, except it can be done inside. Worms in the house. Such a beautiful thing. So temperature is one of the key elements, which is a beautiful thing because I believe you're in California. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So very hot. I'm in Canada, sometimes very cold. So it's something that we can do year round in both of our locations. And it's a wonderful place for city because they may not have space for outdoor composting if you live in an apartment or a townhouse. And it's a wonderful solution for cottage dwellers where bears or mountain lions might be an issue because it's done in the house, or raccoons or rodents, right? So what it is, vermicomposting is done in a container. You need a carbon nitrogen mix. So the carbon that we use is shredded paper, could be leaves, straw, cardboard, drink trays, egg cartons, any combination of your paper products, a little bit of soil. You're adding the soil for the grit and the microorganisms. Worms don't have teeth. So there's little bugs in the soil that help to break down the food for the worms. Some crushed eggshells, no problem for you with chickens. Water, and that's it. You mix everything together. The worms that you add, there are thousands of types of earthworms. Only 4 have been identified as optimum for vermicomposting. Red wigglers, European night crawlers, African night crawlers, and perionyx, which is a tropical worm. There's probably others that we haven't discovered as yet. And so we're looking for surface dwellers, worms that live at the top rather than, that go below the frost line here in Canada. And so they eat your food scraps from the kitchen. So it's the carbon nitrogen. The carbon, as I talked to, is the bedding. The nitrogen or the food scraps is, your clippings from the kitchen, your potato peels, your banana peels, coffee, tea, pasta, rice. What stays out? No meat, no dairy, no sauce, no greasy stuff. The more you chop it up, the faster it breaks down, the more the worms can eat. It's beautiful.
Yeah, just think of the worms are vegan. Just whatever vegan will eat, worms will eat.
That's great. I love that.
I wanted to kind of bring this back to business, because we talk about the 2 passionate things that you have in your life. That's something that you really like to do. However, you are able to tie your passion into a business. You even went on giving a TED talk. I listened to it, by the way, about vermicomposting. So how are you able to make that switch? Because the reason why I want to ask this question is a lot of us have hobbies. I have my hobbies. I have, worms, as you know, but I don't dream of turning that into a business. But somehow you can make that connection and able to sustain yourself and also sustain the passion that you have. How and when did you decide to make that switch?
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Honestly, if I was to do it again, it's the 20th anniversary selling worms by the pound. I would get some more help. I didn't know, I didn't come from an entrepreneurial background. So, anyone that's listening that's like, I don't know what to do, there's lots of resources today on how to start a business. And what you really need is passion for what you're doing, solving a solution. So, I'll go back to the beginning of why I started. I'm located in just north of Toronto, the largest city in Canada. 6 million people in the Greater Toronto Area, half living in condos, townhouses. In 2002, our landfill filled up and we started to export our garbage. And although Canada is the second largest country in the world, we couldn't find a place to site a new landfill. And at that time, in 2002, we were exporting our garbage to the United States. And 1,000 trucks a week, by the way, 18 wheelers. Is that what you call them? Yeah, the semis. 1,000 trucks a week. I mean, it's a lot of, can you imagine? It's just mind blowing. The traffic on the highway, the wear and tear, the emissions. It's so wrong. And then a waste of our hard-earned tax dollars. Great for the US, great for Michigan, I guess, in a way, if you're just looking at money. But not, right? Because there's only one planet. And here we are just transferring the problem, which is the humongous amount of garbage that 6 million people can create. And I had a solution. So I was like, isn't this perfect? This is indoor composting. So I set forth without knowledge on what to do or what I was doing. And again, if I was going to start this business again, I would sell the compost rather than selling the worms because they're the workers. And once you have worms, as you know, they reproduce a lot. And so once I sell worms to you, your worms expand. And, I meet people. I meet people and they say, oh, my worms are doing so good. I gave some to my neighbor. I sent some to my kids' school. I'm like, stop giving your worms away. It's bad for my business. So I stuck with it. I decided right at the beginning that I didn't want to do this part-time. I was all in and I was going to make this work no matter what. And I have. Was it challenging? Absolutely. Did I have doubts? Indeed. Over the years, many, many times where I was like, why do I care so much? But I think that was what the driver was. I did care. I had a solution. I just needed a way to get my message out. So I just kept on. And as an entrepreneur, as you said, I've added different things. I sell a sprouter now. I've added laughter yoga. And laughter yoga came to me when I needed it. It came when it was 2012 and one more person said to me, ew, worms in the house. And I had heard that many times over the years. I didn't hear it. I was like, this is important. I need to keep on. That one time in 2012, I heard it. It hit my heart. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And I was about to doff my mission. I was like, I'm just getting a job. That's it. This is too hard. And my next introduction, like my next meeting, I was introduced to laughter yoga. And I said, laughter yoga, what a cool concept. And then, just from there, I was introduced to, there's laughter clubs. So I started attending a laughter club and I loved that. I got trained and then I loved that. I became trained as a teacher and now I teach leaders.
That's good. Thanks for sharing the story. So I think it's just a lifestyle choice because I could probably say this that everyone wants to live more healthier, especially since COVID. We really truly respect, it's better to be healthy than to have all these gadgets or all the wealth that you have, really, right? But to get health, it's actually quite simple. You just watch what you put into your mouth. That solves a lot of the problem already. So what we just talked about, if you are aware, if you do composting, chances are you probably do gardening, right? If you do gardening, you probably plant something that you will pick fresh. And I couldn't tell you how much fresh the eggs are if you picked it yourself and you just cook it yourself. It's just crazy experience, and you avoid any packaging. There's no packaging, that's coming from the chicken to your mouth. And the eggs, like you mentioned, it goes to the compost bin, so that it helps the process. And then the worms does its work. And with all the scraps that we have, I feed it to the chicken. I'm kind of lazy to chop it up, so I let them make a mess, and then whatever left, right, that they don't eat, I put it in my bin. So I even save my time to do that. So you actually, I'm trying to create an own cycle, right? There are cycles, that mini cycles that we can do to be sustainable. So I'm using less packaging, I'm creating less trash. People are surprised because we have different trash bin in my city. So you have extra large, you have large, and ours is the smallest that we can find. And people are always surprised, that's all the trash that you have in a week? Yes, that's all the trash that we have, because a lot of us in the house eating things that are not packaged. So you are eating more healthy, you are helping the environment. And then I couldn't tell you and how to begin how much fun it is, for me at least, to watch the chicken and to watch the worms. And I have to confess, sometimes I feed the worm to the chicken.
And they really do have a pecking order, don't they?
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest. Oh, absolutely. I was going to say, if you feed the worms to the chickens, the eggs will be stronger. The shell is stronger, and just it tastes better. It's amazing. The chickens are happier because they're getting wonderful protein.
I'm doing experiments right now to see if I could taste the difference. Like there will be 2 to 3 days I'll feed them as a snack with strawberry, and there are other cycle I feed them with kale. I want to see if it tastes any difference in the egg. So far, I'm not able to tell, but I think that's very interesting. That kind of gets you engaged with the environment, because a lot of people wanted to live a better lifestyle, but then I think it's little things like that in your life that make you more engaged into your backyard, into the food that you put in your mouth. Because I think a lot of times we are busy, especially we own businesses. We are busy with our life. We have to make sales, make the quarter, whatever that it is. So I think little things to distract me, right, in my daily life. So I think it could keep me avoiding me to burn out. I would actually use that word, because you can keep working in your business all the time. You have to have something else to occupy you, so you're refreshed, and then you're recharged, and you can actually be better in business doing that way, in my opinion.
Oh, agreed. You touched on so many things. I love it. No packaging, right? So you don't have to, yeah, nothing to be done with the packaging. There isn't any. I love it. That, people have heard of the 100-step or 100-mile diet. Like, this is like the 5-step diet, right? You don't have to go anywhere, no emissions to go pick up your groceries. And I would add, in addition to that, it tastes better. And when you grow things yourself, you're not wasting that food. There's no way you spent too much time growing it, nurturing it, and watering it, and weeding, and doing all of that. And when you get kids involved with the process, then they are now engaged. In addition to that, like, you're talking about living a more healthy, more sustainable, wonderful life. When you have your hands in the soil, you're exposed to antidepressant microbes. Like, that's why gardeners are happy, because they have their hands in the soil. They're, you're not on your technology when you're gardening, because your thing would get dirty. It's so beautiful. It's just a magic way for us to slow down. And I think that may be one of the gifts of COVID, is giving us a time for pause. It's been really challenging for a lot. I'm not making light of it at all. Just that it really has been a time for us to reflect on what really is important in our life.
Yeah, if you live in this suburb, it can really do chicken in the city, right? So if once I have chicken, I have more friends actually. People wanted to find out and actually talk to me. Oh, you have eggs? Can we have it? And whenever we have tomatoes, right? We have friends that live in the city. They don't have the luxury of having a backyard, to grow just as simple as tomato. You actually, able to talk to your friends, who you haven't talked to for a while, just because you have those available. And I've been friends with more neighbors because just we have so much sometimes that we share. Maybe you have peaches, I have tomato. Then you actually going back, I don't know how long ago that human actually do that. We trade with what we have extra, and then you actually eating something more fresh and local. We always talking about buying local, eating local. That's I think another good way to utilize, because you don't have to grow everything in your backyard. As long as you know someone else in the area who has it, and then we learn how to trade.
Absolutely, right? So it's creating community, which we need, right? Again, during this cuckoo time, we've been isolated. And when we're isolated, we only have that friend in our head, and that is never a friend, that voice. It's not encouraging. So this is so beautiful. I'm loving this conversation. I love that you have worms.
Not sure I will put it indoor yet. It's not allowed, right? At the, my wife didn't want, and I think it's a process, right? In the beginning, they die very easy. I think when you try to keep something, it's a learning process. Like all the ingredients that you mentioned, I'm starting to notice, certain things that you put in it, it gets better. It's a process. It's just like when you wanted to make a lifestyle changes, right? We want to eat more healthy. We want to do more exercise. You can jump on it 100%. But then if you're doing it slowly, and then if you're learning, if you're improving your process, I think that's how you're getting better. And that's how you turn a hobby into a passion. And ultimately, like you can actually turn it into a business.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I mean, just stay with it, believe in what you're doing. When we feel good, so you talked about food. I would say in addition to living a more sustainable, wonderful life, for sure the food that we eat, that it's good quality. We take time to eat it, that it's real food and not just processed stuff. um, Stress. I think something like 90% of the ailments that we have today, the root cause is stress, or what keeps us in that ailment is the stress about it. So if we can help to manage our stress, which sounds simple, again, where the laughter comes in, because when we're laughing, we're secreting those love drugs versus the cortisol. And our little amygdala, where the stress center in the brain, it hasn't evolved since caveman days. So we think that we're in imminent danger when something happens, and we're not. Like, oh no, there's no more bread, it's a crisis. That's what our body thinks. We start, or whatever. I mean, that's very, very silly example, but you know what I mean? We go into the stress mode and we start flipping around, we start flipping out, and we're secreting that cortisol. Now, cortisol is careening through our beautiful body, and our body needs to manage that cortisol. So, managing our stress up front, if we can have techniques, whatever, meditation, breathing, dancing, getting it outside, there's all kinds of ways to get out of stress. We need to really focus on that, because the eating and then getting out of stress, moving more, we got to move. We have we have a heart to pump our blood. We have another fluid called lymph, and lymphatic fluid only moves when we move. There's no pump. So we must move as well. So it's incorporating the good food, reducing stress, increasing movement. And what was the third thing? Less stress. Oh, just more joy. So just being more joyful. So again,
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. It's surprising, while we talk about that, it's so simple that you can actually do it with little to very low cost. That can solve a lot of problem that we have as a city people, I would call it, right? And then sometimes we spend thousands and thousands, and we hire coaches, we buy all these gadgets, we go to retreats, thousands of dollars. Where if you start maybe doing worm composting, spending more time in your backyard or your garden, getting all the sunlight, getting your hands a little bit dirty, can actually solve all the stress, all the baggage that you have. So it's as simple as that. So maybe cost you a weekend, or maybe a couple of $100, right? To get things set up. And it could be as simple as that. Going back to the basics can actually help solve a lot of the problems that we have as a city people nowadays.
Absolutely, slowing down. And during this time, 2020 was my best year ever in worm composting world. And I was just I didn't know what was happening. Like the phone kept ringing off the hook. I mean, the phone was ringing, people, and write emails, and just like it was. I loved it. As an entrepreneur, it was really great. And part of me, I was just like, wow, this is so exciting! My best year ever. And then then I was hijacked by my ego. I was like, how can I celebrate? Everybody's struggling. There's so many people losing their work and stuff. And then the other side prevailed. And I said, I must celebrate. I have to be an example for people to show them there's hope. This is so great. What I'm doing is just how I live my life is an example for how other people, exactly as you said, so we can live more sustainable, we can be more joy filled, we can connect better, right? Trade food with your neighbors. And so you can make a salad, like you grow lettuce, I'll grow tomatoes, you grow celery, and now look at that. Someone grow cantaloupe, so we have dessert. It's a beautiful thing, and it's an experiment, maybe now we're a global community. So in the grocery store, you can get all kinds of different produce. Why not try growing those? They grow places. So why not try growing something unique? And it's a really wonderful thing. It is just slowing down. And that's what I think is really hopeful, is when we're eating good food and we're slowing down, we're digesting properly. Like too often I think we're so busy. We say we're so busy, we don't have time to stop and eat. Just
Oh,
eat.
yes.
I would say just eat at that time. Don't be driving somewhere en route somewhere, having a podcast with someone and driving along and eating, or just eat and then do your drive to your location. I mean, I think we try to multitask, and it's been proven we're not good at multitasking. We think we are, but we're not.
Especially if you really, going back to business, you talk about the really great leader. All of them, as I read from their biography or from people who interview them, they do schedule for blocks of time in the year, in the day, to be disconnect. They will maybe go on to their mansion or whatever retreat that they have, and they just think and do nothing and be away from what they do, for a while, and then they come back with something great, something that changed the market, right? So if you're always busy, that's got to be something wrong. Would you agree to that?
Yes, I think, sometimes people say self-care is selfish, but self-care is self-love. And I believe you said at the beginning about when we take this time for ourselves, we're more productive. Like ideas come. And how many times, I mean, you're blocked, whatever, you're a student or you're somewhere and you have something you need to get done, but you just can't seem to get to it. It's not working. You're just elsewhere. You need to get out at that point. You need to leave that situation, go for a walk, go get some fresh air, go, pick a tomato, just go take your dog for a walk, go, whatever it is, get away from what you're doing, because just trying to force it's not going to work. It's just going to cause more stress in your body.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about my experience. Sometimes I get in conversation or situation that I'm stressed, and maybe it was something that needs to be done. But if you talk to, let's say, another contact of mine right now, you're using that mentality. The other person, like, why is he like that today? So, but what if I'm really stressed and I'm really tense for whatever reason, and I will take, like you said, 5 to 10 minutes of my personal time, do whatever that I like to do, right? And then I'm reset before I make that connection with the other contact. How would the other person feel? So I think that's something that we have to take part to kind of control and manage ourselves before we will spread it to other people. Imagine I'm going on this podcast right now, angry and stressed. And how would my conversation with you going to be, Kathy? Instead of I'm ready, I know that I'm taking some time. I have my coffee here, so I know I'm relaxed and ready for the conversation. So I think this is a mindset type of thing that we need to do self care in order to manage it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yes. That's exactly it. We're energy. We're just energy. We're just particles floating around. We seem like solid beings, but we're really just like little molecules floating around. And we know that because we've all walked into a room where somebody's had a bad day. And like you said, if you came angry, but say you walk into a room and somebody's had a bad day, you're like, oh, I wonder who's having a bad day. Because you can feel like they say, the stress is so, or what is it so heavy you can cut it with a knife? The tension so you can cut it with a knife. I'm doing scissors. um, right, and or the opposite, like somebody's euphoric, like they just won the lottery or something, and you're like, oh, somebody's in a good way, because we are energy. So yes, before I do any of these podcasts, or if I have a challenging conversation coming up, I'm going to go and laugh. I'm going to go laugh full on for a couple of minutes, just for nothing, just go and laugh, because that's my way to connect to myself and become present. And then I'm ready. Then I'm like, okay, showtime. I'm ready. I'm here.
Yeah, I think we're getting to a really good point here, especially I'm in sales. And what my sales coach actually told me before for the mindset is he put up a lottery ticket. So he said, instead of going in and try to use the word bag for a job, knowing that you have $1 million lottery ticket in your hand, how would you approach differently? So by knowing that I'm set, but then I'm helping to help you. So your mindset has changed. And I think going into a keyword that I see on LinkedIn a lot is called the Great Resignation. Imagine yourself, if a company is coached by you, Kathy, everyone is laughing in the meeting, everyone's laughing during the work. So how would you like to go into work like that? You probably go in every day and because you'll be laughing, compared to if you go into work, everyone is grumpy, everyone is stressed. When you have a meeting, there's a lot of tension. So I think if we could change ourselves, and if especially if you're a leader, if you can change the team that you manage to be laughing, or you want them to be stressed and tense. So I think that is actually a inexpensive way again to solve a big problem. It's just to make people happy at work.
Absolutely. I'm for hire if any corporations are listening and want to bring me in. Really, it's so incredible for team building. Imagine a group of people. Again, you can do it every day, like laughing, starting the day. You know, it's just a magic thing. Like it breaks down barriers because, you're not boss and subordinate. You're just all laughing. It's not jokes or comedy. It's, just silly games that oxygenate our brain, back to stress. When we're stressed, we're not breathing properly. So, blood, lymph, oxygen leaves our brain because we've gone into fight, flight, or freeze, and we just need to get out of there. So all of those fluids go into your body so your muscles can get you out of there. So think about creativity. What's happened to your creativity when you're in stress, right? Your brain is shut off from any new source of energy. Like anyone listening ever lost your keys and you got to go, you're flapping around. You're like, I'm going to be late. I got to go. And you're like, do you have my keys? Where'd my keys go? Do you have them? Where are they? I got to go. I'm going to be late. Whatever it is, right? Phone, glasses, keys, your pen, whatever you've lost. What you need to do is stop, take a deep breath, laugh it off. Ha 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 ha. Apologize to everybody. And then your keys will be right there, or your phone, glasses. Because when we're stressed, we kind of get tunnel vision. We can't see because we're in a flap. We're panicking.
Yeah, I love that. Sometimes we get mad with so little things, just when you mention key, sometimes, the little things maybe when you deal with money problem. Sometimes people fight with $5. So what is $5 when you're in a calm state? For a lot of us, $5 can be, I don't know, a tip or maybe just buy a drink. But you will get to a situation that you get really upset with $5. So just like the mindset and going back to the business standpoint, there are things that you could laugh it off. It could be a joke sometime. When a lot of things that could have, you can either be angry or you can either laugh it off. Which way do you rather want to be?
Exactly. That's exactly it. We have a choice how we respond to every situation that comes, like now and now and now. Right? Like every moment we have the opportunity to change how we react to a situation. It's completely mindset. And unfortunately, we're not taught this stuff in school.
Hmm. Yeah,
Not
that's
yet.
true. Yeah, I don't want to really go down to that, especially with kids nowadays. They're all on the device. They're smarter than I would even use. They're really smarter than we are right now. But going back to the basic things, a lot of them are not able to do so. I can't tell you how many times that kids is going to a good college right now, but there is something that very essential, something that what actually do you do to take care of yourself? So they actually don't have that. They're really smart in academically, but then how do you feed yourself? How do you keep yourself healthy? How do you really, spend not spending 8 hours on your phone, and then you actually have to go outside for a couple of hours, move around, and then you actually feel better.
Yeah, I agree that they are super smart. I really believe that they've arrived at this time because we have so many problems. You can't have a basket of solutions and wait for problem to come along. Problem comes
Yeah.
first, right? So there's lots of problems for the creatives out there to solve. But you're right. I meet a lot of kids. I do a lot of school workshops, and just recently I started going back into schools. We were locked down for a while.
Mhm.
The kids are different. They're more stressed than they ought to be as children.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I feel like we can go on for the next 5 hours
I
with
know.
our conversation, Kathy, but I want to be conscious of time. For listeners who are intrigued and maybe have a lot of questions about what we talked about, what would be a good way to reach out to you?
Probably my worm website would be the best. It's the longest one that's been around. Google Juice. It's kathyscomposters.com. And you can get to my laughter. You can get to all of my offerings from that website.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Kathy. I learned a lot, and especially from a, worm composting expert. So I truly enjoy our conversation today.
Thank you, Swire. I really appreciate the opportunity.